buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition. It's Florida Talk Real Estate, and we've got you for the next 2 hours of infotainment. Thanks for being out there. It means a lot. If you're on 92.7 or 101.7, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Did I say 92.7?
I was going to say,
that's awesome.
We're on wave, huh?
Yeah. Look at us. We're sliding down over.
Does Heath know?
92.1. Hey, 92.7 is a brother station. Right? Yeah. Of course. 92.1 in the Palm Beaches. 101.7 for the Treasure and Space Coast. And, of course, with your free download, your iHeartRadio app, we are worldwide. That's pretty ginormous, if you ask me. And we live stream as well. There's a lot of effort put in the morning to set up so you can see some beautiful faces making radio. You can join us. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. Home of a ton of informational chunk videos, plus our live stream on a Saturday. You can always join in right away, pick up a little bit in the middle, or revisit after the fact. It's choose your own adventure, and you can be a part of it as well. Toll free at 877-927-6969. If you choose to be a part of it, questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate, the first voice you'll hear is Jimothy, my brother from another mother. He's the best producer in the world.
Oh, wow. What a compliment. Thank you so much, Johnny, and thank you for being here.
Oh, well, thank you for all that you do. Always a pleasure. We established the other day we worked together for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I almost don't know if I could do radio without my Jimothy.
Well, I tell you what, it's like two peas in a pot.
Something like that. Always a pleasure, my friend. Johnny C, that's me. Your old buddy, your old pal. Let's get your very important people on a Saturday. Like Mike Rao. He's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Our friend, your friend. Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Guten Morgen.
I'm glad you're not broken.
Gesundheit.
I know you did some skiing.
Oh, yeah. No injuries.
I have.
Ooh,
I
Olympics?
Exactly.
You know what? I felt like I was training for them
Really?
when I was out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Doing the moguls, the
Great
downhill.
Job. Great job getting ready for the next 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
I'll be ready in 4 years.
Yeah, I've been dealing with the outskirts of a friend going through a horrific snow skiing situation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like skiing or like snowmobiling?
Skiing, yeah. So he's a big skier, and he took his girl. They went to the AFC Championship game, Patriots and Broncos, in Denver, and then they stayed and skied.
Cool.
And she's kind of a skier. He's to the top, like triple diamond, black diamond. Like he does it.
Yep.
And she's learning. And I guess she went from like the bunny slopes to like that next intermediate level and was doing okay. And he's like, all right, well, we'll see at the bottom because he's going all the way up. And I guess she broke both her shoulders, a bunch of ribs. Like she ate it pretty bad, and she's going through it right now. She's actually, I think, home and recovering.
Are they married?
They are not.
Ooh,
yeah,
never gonna happen.
Yeah, but so when I hear skiing right now, I'm like, oh, good. I don't see any casts, no surgical marks.
Yeah,
you're doing well.
My oldest brother Dave met us over there, and he hurt himself.
Oh no.
Yeah,
badly
he came in for like just the 1 or 2 day, and he ended up just doing the 1 day, so he couldn't do this the second day.
It was a little
just something with his shoulder. He hit hard.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I'm shutting it down.
He's like, he always skied like I did, but he's been dabbling in snowboarding, and I think snowboarding is pretty unforgiving when you fall as a beginner.
Yeah,
because you're either like on your knees, like flat on your face, or on your butt hard.
Like you got Jimothy's attention.
On your
knees.
Yeah,
sounds
on
like
your
it's
knees.
For me.
Yeah. Jimothy.
Do you ride
over there? Looking good today.
See,
Looking
Mike.
good. Yeah.
Do you ride Goofy, Mike? Do you ride Goofy?
I ski.
Oh, you don't snowboard.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see you, my dude.
Well, you too.
Always appreciate you. I don't imagine Jimmy D's much of a skier because he's a Florida boy, like through and through. We'll find out. He's our fearless leader. 14 years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. It's the Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, how you be? Do you ski?
Hey,
I just rhymed a bunch right there. That was awesome.
I know you did. No, I don't ski. You were 100% right. I've never put skis on, and I've never put football pads on. I've never done either.
Huh.
I always regretted the football pouch.
You could do both, like in the same motion.
That would
Just
be fun
load
to
up
put
and
it
go
all
down
up.
the hill.
Yeah,
Just
they
bomb
go-
it. Be like, I'm going.
You can
Just
avoid
no
injury.
plow the
And then
whole
I
way.
That's exactly right.
I will avoid being Dave, and then I'll say I did both, and then I
Well,
did 2 bucket lists.
everyone wears helmets these days, skiing and snowboarding.
True.
But you could put on the big concussion protocol helmet, Jim,
Nice.
with the padding on the outside. That
Oh,
would be
yeah,
kind of a
with
good
the-
look.
Perfect.
Padding, yep.
Perfect.
Yeah. You never even water skied, Jim?
I tried water skiing a couple times. I sucked.
Oh, but you had skis on at least.
Yeah, but not snow.
not snow
skis.
skis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you were water skiing, did you able to get up?
No,
No, not once.
not even one time.
Not even for
no.
like a couple seconds.
I
Like, I
did
got it. I
no
got it.
face plants.
Yeah.
all the whole time.
That's how my adventures go until you finally get up. I think I lasted about 10
Ah.
seconds or so.
I think they got medicine.
Typically.
I think they got medicine that could help with both of those, Johnny. The you can't get up and you're quick. Like it's fast. Yeah.
You just pay attention to commercials.
mhm.
They're definitely there for you.
Good pill for that.
Yeah, I just gave up. I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. Get used to it.
Yeah, well.
On to the next.
When I was a kid, my mom got a pair of skis from like a yard sale or something like that. And we had a big hill in our backyard. So I put them on and didn't even have boots. I just snapped my work boots into it. I go down the hill and boom, right into the back of the house. That was it. Never skied again.
You're like,
Yeah.
not
That was
doing
one
that.
and done.
Yeah, they're not
that.
really set up to take anything but ski boots.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
So
much.
the connection must have been
Interesting.
tenuous. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't really the problem. It was the navigating part.
Yeah.
How do you move? Shoom, boom. That was
That's
it.
no fun. I'm not
Goodbye.
doing that again.
Nope.
So we all technically lined up here, Jimmy D.
Yes, we are. We had a
Beautiful.
little Facebook problem, but it looks like it's fixed, so that's really good.
I love it.
Got a really good show today. Every time I say that, I think Ed Sullivan. I got to stop saying that. I even say it
Really
on the
big shoe.
promo
shoe.
videos. You got a really good shoe today. Nobody knows what I'm talking about right now.
Somebody does.
I'm going to tell the funny story. Is that okay?
Go ahead, yeah. Let it
So
rip.
at the office, I'm working in the bullpen right now, right? So I'm in there with all, the younger agents, the less experienced agents, I should say. And I'm doing my stuff. And most of the people don't know who I am or anything, right? And then I won that award. And then the people around the bullpen were like, wow,
Ooh,
And
got a
one of-
star among,
yeah, one
among
of them-
us.
And one of them said, how come you don't have an office? Because I took away my office at the office just recently, right? And I said, well, this year what I'm going to do is I'm going to go really lean and mean. Nancy's at home. She would prefer to work at home, so the office is not needed. So I said, I'm going to be lean and mean this year like Rocky, and I'm going to, like Rocky, drinking the raw egg drink in the morning while he's training. And the person looked at me and said, who's Rocky?
Who?
Yeah, who's Rocky?
And I was like, yep, that's how old I am.
Well, they haven't made a
I
Rocky
thought that
movie
was
in,
funny.
in what, like 10 years? It's not that old.
Well, Michael B. Jordan, I think, was Rocky for a while, right? Didn't they do some Michael B. Jordan Rocky stuff or something? I don't know. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Apollo. It's
Yeah.
a
It's a
Rocky
yeah,
ish
it's like
story.
a Rocky off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I just thought that was really funny. So,
I had some version of that on this trip. We were referencing something, and all the kids, I say the kids, they're all adults.
yeah, young
Yeah,
adults.
voting age or older, drinking age a lot. And I forget what the movie was, but they had no clue. And I was just like, geez.
I know, right?
Geez. Johnny, did we mention what day it is today?
Oh, that's right.
It's Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm like,
Valentine's
it's
Day.
Saturday.
We're
Yeah,
all in
Valentine's
here
Day.
doing our radio show,
We are.
and our significant others are at
Well-
home crying 'cause we're
well,
not there, right?
I know,
You were
right?
so- well, Mike is a very lucky man because his significant other's birthday is on Valentine's Day.
That's
So
right.
happy birthday, Tiff.
Oh,
gets a
happy
double.
birthday.
The
So it's a
doppelganger.
birthday. So it's so easy to remember birthday. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a cheat code, right? I mean,
You know what? I got like a double cheat code because she's so like not demanding when it comes to birthdays and Valentine's, and so it's like it kind of melds well with my personality, which is like I could, whatever, birthday.
yeah.
Ho hum.
Just another day. Yeah.
Exactly.
Happy birthday, honey bunny.
Oh,
Oh,
Happy
that's
birthday.
sweet.
So happy Valentine's, everybody, and happy birthday, Tiffany. She's a lot of people who are listening to the show that have worked with us have worked with
They'll
Tiffany.
know Tiffany.
Yeah, they'll know Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
So she's
Right on.
awesome.
I said, listen, if Tiffany sends you an email, she wants something.
Yes.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, chop.
If you want
Don't
to
make
buy
my
the
life
house,
miserable.
you got to listen to Tiffany. You got to respond to
Time
Tiffany.
is of the essence when Tiffany's involved.
Speaking of buying houses, let's go ahead and do a couple shout outs, and then we're going to get into a little public service announcement about a scam that we talk about all the time with our customers, and somebody just got ripped off.
Oh no.
The first shout out is to Jamie. Jamie closed on Monday her Jupiter Beach townhome. I could talk about it a little bit more now. It was a very stressful situation. It was such a weird deal because this is a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath townhome that's in Jupiter. That's a couple of football fields from toes in the sand. Great location. Is making about $90,000 a year as an Airbnb.
I was thinking, I'm like, this is the Airbnb.
The
one, I'm pretty
Airbnb
sure,
one.
yeah.
So we put the house on the market, and I didn't know this until later, but 53% of the homes that were put on the market in the last 3 years in that neighborhood never sold.
53%.
53%, right? Never sold, right? And we put ours on the market, and it was very hard to show because it was being booked so much, and she didn't want to disturb the guests, of course.
Sure.
So in the first 60 days, we only had like 3 showings. And then in 1 week, we got 3 people that all loved the property and wanted to buy it at the same time. So we had a little bit of a bidding war, and we got to the point where we set the all-time record for the neighborhood for the highest sale in the neighborhood.
Nice. Back to setting records in neighborhoods.
I was so
How about
happy.
that?
Yeah, in a 53% expired market,
Yeah.
right? In a real estate market that's 53% in that neighborhood. So I was really happy about it. It was still a very big price reduction compared to what we were asking. So I don't want to go into the real numbers on the air because I don't want to,
Sure.
if somebody wants to talk me off air, we'll talk numbers. But anyway, the bottom line was it was a significant drop for what we put it on the market for, but we still set the record, all-time record for the neighborhood. Then we go into the inspection. And the first thing that the inspector does when we went during the inspection was go underneath the sink, polybutylene pipes. And I'm like, I can't believe this. So polybutylene pipes were
You didn't know that. You didn't spot that.
I had no idea because the house, she had renovated the house when she bought it
Mhm.
about 4 years earlier. So newer kitchen, newer bathroom, everything. So I figured that I didn't even think about polybutylene, to be honest with you. It didn't even cross my mind with this
Mhm.
house.
Because it was so newly renovated and so thoroughly renovated.
Yeah. She did a beautiful job with it and picked all the right finishes. So I was like, oh my gosh. So that turned into a really big deal. Now, polybutylene pipes, if people don't know, they were very popular for construction from the 70s through the 90s. And the reason why they were popular, they were bendable. So when you're installing supply lines, they're flexible. Thank you. Supply lines throughout the house for water supply lines. It made it really easy for the plumbers to go in and plumb everything out, as opposed to copper pipes where you have to solder and do all this stuff. Well, the ease actually was one of the bad parts of it because the fittings that they use to splice hoses together, the fittings, they sometimes failed because of the way that they were crimped together. Or I also read that the chemicals from the metal was leaching into the type of plastic, the polybutylene, and that made it fail too. So they were prone to burst inside the walls over time, and insurance companies don't like it. So it's very hard to insure those. And if it's a single family home, a lot of times you have to rip the polybutylene out before you can get insurance. So it's kind of like those aluminum, bless you, Mike, kind of like the aluminum wiring in an electrical panel. Insurance, it's approved by the building department because it's grandfathered in because it was approved at the time of the construction. But now insurance companies don't like it. So they most of the time prefer that the panel get replaced with non-aluminum wiring.
Right.
So anyway, that was a big deal. Now, the owner had no idea what polybutylene was, never heard of what polybutylene was, doesn't know anything, thinks that she renovated that house with blood, sweat, and tears, and it looks beautiful. And now we brought out a polybutylene expert, and it was going to cost $15,000 to pull and rip through all the drywall, not all the drywall, but drywall, multiple places, upstairs and downstairs, get the old pipe out, put the new pipe in. Then you had to bring in another contractor to finish everything, put the cabinets back, fix the drywall, texture the walls, put the baseboard in. It's very involved. And one of it, they had to open up the shower where the tile was. They had to cut out the tile to get behind the wall. And it was like tile that was only 4 years old. It's beautiful.
Brutal.
So her attitude was, I have insurance. Everybody else in the neighborhood has insurance. What's the big deal? Right? Well, it made it more complicated because this house is a condo, not a townhome, even though it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, or 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2-story place that's attached. It's really a condo. So anything behind the walls are covered by the condo board. Anything outside of the walls is covered by yourself. So then I called Ross. Ross, come here next from Brightway Insurance. He'll be back not next week, but the week after. And Ross said because it's a condo, they can get insurance. But the buyers didn't want to buy a house full of polybutylene pipe, and they wanted a credit to deal with the polybutylene pipe. So it turned into this big, complicated mess. Bottom line is we got everything worked out. We closed on Monday with that buyer. We also had a backup buyer waiting in the wings that if the first deal fell apart, they're ready to jump in. And they didn't care about the polybutylene. We told them about it, and they were like, if the other ones fall out, we're here. So the only reason why the first one stayed into place, it was a 1031 exchange, which we talked about with Jared a couple of weeks ago, Jared Perry from Perry CPA Group. So they were taking a profit from another house and had to roll it into another property, and they only had 45 days to pick that property. And we ate up so much time through all this that they didn't have time really to back out. So we closed. She didn't set the record. We were $3,000 off the record of the neighborhood, so we had to reduce the price a little bit to get the thing done. And the reason why we did reduce the price is what Ross said is that people can definitely get insurance for the property through Citizens, right? But if the pipe burst and Citizens came out to look at it and saw it was polybutylene, they might not cover it because they didn't know there was polybutylene in there. So it was very up in the air as to who was going to pay for it if a pipe burst or something. Was it going to be the owner or the community?
That's sketchy.
So that's why we reduced the price in order to get the deal done. But Jamie was very happy at the end. And thank you so much for trusting me. It was a really rough one. There were tears and blood and sweat on that one, a little bit of screaming. But we got it all done. So congrats.
Yeah,
and now,
congrats is right.
and another congrats. This is another one that makes me really happy. Mike Rao introduced me to Josh and Lisa. They were first-time home buyers. They're on a very, very tight budget. We didn't know what we were going to try to do. We started looking at modular homes, mobile homes. Really, we're trying to avoid that because that gets very complicated sometimes, but that was their budget. They decided that they were willing to commute, so they work in West Palm, but they moved to Fort Pierce, so it is a decent commute. But they got they have a villa, and they love it. We just got it under contract. We're going to do the inspection on Tuesday, but they're so excited. It's well within their budget, Mike. So I don't even know if you know because we went into contract yesterday. So Josh is in contract now.
Yeah,
so
I got that.
Oh, did you? Cool. Yep. So really excited about that they're in contract. And just wanted to do those two shout outs. So the next thing for Josh and Lisa is we got to do the inspection, make sure everything's okay.
Right.
And we're going to get going on that.
And the inspection, I remember the inspection as a first-time home buyer. I remember that.
A little scary.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
But that's for you. That's for the buyer.
Yeah.
An understanding of exactly what you're buying, but you can't get spooked by it.
Yeah. And we looked at they were very motivated. And because they're on such a tight budget, they almost anything they saw that they could afford, it's like, yes. But I was like, look, I think we can get something better. Let's look at a couple other things. And they actually picked out the villa. I thought that villa was actually a condo. I had done one of our first short sales, Johnny, from the show was up in this community, Surrey Woods. Huh. And it was one of my very first short sales we were doing through this whole thing. And I remember it was a really rough one because it was a father who owned the property for a daughter. The daughter was with a boyfriend, they were splitting up. They were War of the Roses, and the house was very upside down, and they had to get the boyfriend out in order to sell it. And the daughter was distraught about the breakup and everything else, and they were losing the house and everything. It was just crazy.
That's rough.
And we did
Whole
the
life
short sale.
upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that we sold that for less than $60,000 back then. And this one's under contract for the 150s, the high 150s. So it
That's-
tripled in price in about 12 years from the short sale market, because
Right.
that was 2012. So
Yeah.
about 12, 13 years, it about tripled in price, or almost tripled, not maybe 2.5 times the price. Mike's doing the calculation.
I'm
in
trying
his
to think
eye.
of like other homes. How much would they have come up in that same time frame? More than triple, I would say, right? Depending on when you bought or when you sold.
if
like a-
properties tripled.
Yeah, since like I don't know what you remember what year that was.
Yeah, 2012 or 2013.
You were short selling it, so yeah, I think most homes have more than tripled, right?
Some
from
of
their
them have,
low.
yeah. Some
yeah.
have easily tripled in that 12 years, which
Oh,
just doesn't make sense. I mean, can you imagine 300% in 12 years?
That's right. That's an amazing. Hey, if you're flipping, or if you're sitting in there
Yeah.
and selling at the right times, that's amazing. But nothing I would ever anticipate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to give another shout out. We haven't done anything yet. We're doing stuff, but Noelke is a really good example of a case we had. Noelke came to us like in 2021, and he wanted to buy a home. He he was on the lower end of what he was hoping to get, and he kind of, in a way, I mean, he really liked what he bought, but he had to sacrifice. He was really hoping for a single family home. We ended up getting him a townhome 4
Uh-huh.
years ago.
Right.
Back then, it was FHA financing with 3.5% down, blah, blah, blah. So he was barely squeezing into the unit. And I think he paid a little under $300,000. So now, 4 years later, he's selling it because his family's growing and they want to, it's actually a blended family now. So he and his significant other, Vanessa, are looking for a bigger home that they can blend the family with. And now his house will be going on the market next week. It's a townhome in Green Acres. We're going to get into special financing with Mike later about this house. Really good special financing. But we're going to be on the market between 400, 425. We're going to set it next week. So his house increased in value by a little over a third in that 4 years, right? Over that time. And now when he goes to buy his new home, instead of putting, like $12,000 down back then, he'll have closer to $100,000 to help with the down payment and closing costs on the next home,
Amazing.
right? And
Depending on the timing on that, because we're not quite sure if he's selling first or selling after. Right?
that's a good point. But I'm using
one way or the other, that money's going to go into
going back into
kind
the
of his
house,
mortgage,
and it's going to
yeah.
be a gigantic deposit compared to the other time. And this is a teachable moment, and that's why I wanted to bring up Noelke now. Is in 2021 or so, that was a really bad part of the market for quote buyers because there was tremendous bidding wars. Right, this is right after the hibernation of COVID, and everybody woke up in 2021 and 2022. It was like, hey, I can move anywhere I want, so I'm going to go buy somewhere else. And we had all those bidding wars, 15 offers in 12 hours, and houses sold before you could put it on the market, right? All kinds of craziness. And he was in that frenzy.
He was, yeah.
And instead of saying, this isn't the right time for me, it isn't going to work, he was like, I really want to be a homeowner and get into this game. So if he listened to the conventional wisdom back then, it was like, it's too competitive. The prices are too high. Wait for the prices to go down. Interest rates are no good. Wait for the interest rates to get back to 3 again, right?
Yeah.
Actually, right around that time, they were going down to 3 at that point. They were starting to go down a lot.
Yeah.
But because they were going down, you had that frenzy. And a lot of people, it's like, there's too much competition. I'm not going to fight with 12 other people to buy the house. But he was determined, and he did it.
He did.
And he nicely fixed up the home. And now he's going to have this huge upgrade where he's going to be able to get into the single family home he really, really wants, and bigger than he wanted originally because it's taken the larger family.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the traditional story, which is you buy your first home. At some point, you outgrow that. You've increased your value. You now have significant, equity or proceeds from a sale to put towards the next home. That's the normal course of events, right, Jim?
Yes.
It's kind of funny. You always find it's easy to find people to say it's like, no, you got to wait. Like, it's just not a good time. Like, the market's not right, the rates aren't right, whatever. Very easy to hear that, and it's kind of the easy path because getting ready to buy a home or talking to me to see where you stand as far as buying a home, or just thinking about the process of house hunting can be daunting. And so it's kind of easy to sit back and be like, oh, I'll just wait. I'm going to wait for the market. I'm going to wait for something. And then, of course, the other side of that, you have people, if someone's telling you like, oh, right, now's the time, like you got to buy now, you get for market reasons.
Yeah.
You look at those ones kind of funny, right? You're like, oh, what's the angle? Like, why?
Totally.
Why is now a great time? And probably you shouldn't listen to most of those on either side. Right? Like, listen to us, right? Like, listen to us.
We know when
right.
the time is right to buy. When it's right for you
when
and
it's
your
right
family.
for you and your family,
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you can get into a situation that's affordable and comfortable, and like ticks as many boxes as possible. You're never gonna get all your boxes checked, Jim, unless you just have a lot of
Stars
flexibility.
Like
stars
Josh
align.
and Lisa, in order
Yeah.
to get into the home buying route, and to get into that market and get into that game, what they gave up was distance, right?
Yeah.
They got a better home, way better home. They were so happy. I mean, they're beaming right now. I hope everything goes through great.
Me too.
I really, because I love when these first-time home buyers buy a home, and they're getting 10,000, right, Mike? They're going to get 10,000 from the state for
Down
the
payment
Florida bond,
assistance.
which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
But the beauty of that thing is that they're in the market. So unless we go through a crazy COVID thing or something like that, like something out of everybody's control, in 4 or 5 years, right, they'll probably have a much bigger down payment if they want. And this unit, if they do really well, they can keep this unit, keep it as a rental because it's very affordable, mortgage payment and everything. And they probably could turn it into a rental and make a little profit on it.
Oh, great.
So there's a lot of things. I'm not saying they want to do it until after they buy another home, but they're in the game now, and that's the whole thing. And instead of worrying about the market or anything, they're like, we just want to buy a home. It's a place for us to live and raise a family. And I want a dog, right? One of the things and they really want a dog. They can't have it where they're living now.
So numbers don't matter, but how far off, if this goes through, how far off is their mortgage payment to their current rent?
I didn't ask them that because they're sharing the rent with another relative right now, so it's a little lower, but their mortgage payment is definitely, let's put it this way, they could be approved for more than what they're
not maxing out.
They're not maxing out.
Good
Yeah,
enough.
and I'm going to say the mortgage payments, and that includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and then I'm
And the
including
HOA
HOA
in
in
it.
that, which isn't in the payment, but I count it as like the housing obligation is less than his current rent.
So
But
that's
his current rent he's splitting with a family member,
right.
Yeah.
so he's paying more on his half, but it's
less than
his, less than his total rent.
That's,
Wow,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
And I don't think their current place is like big or anything. It's probably similar as far as bedrooms, bathroom, where they're living now compared to what he's buying.
that's the hope right there. If you
Yeah.
can slide in for similar money,
Yeah, isn't
and
it
be
cool?
an owner, man.
And we got to give a shout out to Frank. I'm sorry, I didn't even say this. Frank is the one
Paula.
that introduced us to
Frank's your old
Josh.
client.
Yes.
You actually
so
might know Frank.
we helped Frank
Oh, yeah.
buy a home back in the day, and then Josh was explaining to Frank after we negotiated a seller credit. So the seller is, and we're going to talk about a little more detail later, but right now the way the deal is structured, they're going to get $5,000 from the seller to help pay their closing costs. And when Josh explained to Frank at work that's what was going on, Frank's like, yeah, that's what they did for me too. We did the same exact thing. He's like, I didn't know you could do that. So we're going to get into that later about other people's money, how to buy houses with other people's money. I love
the
this.
best money to spend.
I love
Other
that.
people's money.
One last thing before, because I know we're heading up against the end of the hour and the half hour, but I wanted to give a public service announcement. There was a real estate investor and realtor who just got ripped off $65,000 up north in Florida by wire fraud. Right. And this is something that we talk about with our buyers and sellers at the meeting when we're signing a buyer's or listing agreement. We actually make them fill out a form saying that we told them about this. And this is what happened. She got caught with a phishing scam. That's PHISH. right? Phishing.
So so modern, Jim.
Yes. So what happens is with the phishing scam is that bad guys kind of glom on to people that are in the real estate market. Basically, it could be title company, the buyer, the seller. Somehow they get into that and they see that there's a real estate transaction going on, and they wait until the title company says something to the buyer or the seller saying, give me your banking and wiring information so that we can transfer the money for the transaction. And then the phishing company or phishing people, they grab that email, copy and paste to make it look almost identical to the actual title company email, and then send it to the person. So they bypass it and then grab it, change it, send it to the person. Person turns in the information online. The fishers stole $65,000 from this lady, disappeared, poof, gone, just gone.
Brutal.
We had somebody in our office like 10 years ago in a Keller Williams office, lost over $300,000 that way. So Trident Title actually has insurance for email fraud. So in that case, Trident Title, which is one of the sponsors of our show for many, many years, Trident Title LLC, they actually paid back the $300,000 in our case. It wasn't my deal, but it was in our office. I don't know what happened to this poor woman, the investor, who is a seasoned realtor. Apparently, she's closed over 40 deals, and she was the customer this time. And she gave the wiring information online. We tell you in our form that wire fraud, I go, Florida is number one for wire fraud. We're also number one for mortgage fraud, identity fraud, any fraud you can think of. Florida is number one. We are the fraud capital of the world. Yes. So
we're kind of like the incubator, like we're experimenting.
Yeah, we create the fraud. We make up new fraud, right?
Show you how to do the fraud.
Yeah, we show you how to do the fraud the right way. So one of the things we need to tell you, and this is my script, one of the things we need to tell you is nobody is going to ask for your wiring information electronically. You're not going to get an email, anything like that, email, text saying, hey, give me your banking information so we can wire the money. No. And if that happens, do not click on anything. Don't respond to it. Don't react to it. Make it like it's 1,000-degree device and walk away from it. Take a break. Call either Trident Title, call me or Nancy, and we'll tell you what to do next.
So this has to do with whether you're wiring money somewhere or you're giving account information so that you can receive money.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be sending. It could be receiving.
And so both
too.
of those cases, you need to be like super, super careful. And it's just about like, it's a little bit more than this, but basically, Johnny, an account number and a routing number.
Yep.
Right. And so when you're going to send that money, whether it's for your escrow deposit or for your final like cash required for closing, you want to make sure that money gets sent to the same place. So this phishing scam is like you'll receive an email. It looks in every way like it came from your title company, and it's got an attachment and it's got wiring instructions, which includes an account number and a bank and a routing number. And you're like, okay, I know who this is. I recognize it. Let me send the money. And what we encourage people to do is before you take that step, so you received this information, now call and actually talk to a known entity. Like talk to Glenda over at Trident, or talk to whoever it is at the title company that you know is a legit person, call a legit number and confirm that what you have is correct info. A lot of title companies these days won't even provide the full information. Even if it's a security email, they're sending something and they say, call our office to get the remaining details. But the other side of that, which is like, hey, the title company is going to I've sold my home. Title company is going to be sending me information. So you have to provide some details there. So it sounds like this one, she got caught providing her details to some dude halfway across the world, which is,
and it just goes away. Poof, it's gone. There's no way to get it
like
back.
The prince, the prince in Zimbabwe or whatever.
Exactly. So don't get burned with that scam, people. And, it's really, really important. It happens in real life. And I thought that was a real teachable moment there when I just read it this morning. I was like, oh, we should just talk about it real quick.
Yeah. It's always a good highlighting.
Hopefully her title company had the insurance that Trident Title has and she'd get her money back. If not, think about Trident Title as your title company. They're not just my title company. Any realtor out there, you want to use Trident Title LLC, give me a call, or Mike or Ross or anybody. This is everybody's team.
Yeah, it's one thing to, enjoy wasting $65K. And it's another to just see it go away with a click of a mouse. You know what I mean? Oh,
that was no fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. Right? It's a wonderful PSA. Always pay attention and cover your ass whenever possible. CYA. We should shorten that a little bit.
Cover
your
butt.
I like that. CYA. I might catch on, maybe.
CYB to be more PC.
PC?
PC, politically correct.
Oh, sorry.
You remember that?
I don't know that one.
That's from the 90s. What? They stopped saying PC. Now it's woke. It used to be PC.
Yeah,
now
it was
woke.
PC. Now it's woke. It is.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. You
Totally
know,
same
see.
thing. We're doing a
Didn't think about
reset.
that.
We're getting back at it.
Yep.
Are we going to talk about spending other people's money when we
Spending
come
other
back?
people's money.
Is there a path for homeowners, new buyers, right? Is there a path to zero down? We're going to find out because we got some knowledge in the studio. Of course, spending other people's money is very important as well. We're going to learn a lot about that too. So if you're looking to be a buyer, or if you've been like, yeah, you know what? My hardest hurdle's cash. This segment is for you. So I encourage you to stick around. Always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your access to the entire team. We're talking pros, experts in their field. We heard some referrals and some great stories because of those referrals. You never know whose lives you can change if you hit share and like on posts. Your friends and family, they don't always let you know everything going on in the world. But if they're looking to buy a home, sell a home, stuck with a home, and you don't know what to do, you got to know about the team at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, the one-stop real estate shop. Know it, use it, love it, share it. Again, you can change lives, including your very own, with FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're back in 4 minutes. Happy Valentine's Day. Get it all over your face. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
Got something to say? I got something to say. Text us at 47142. Start your message with Real Radio. Standard data and message rates apply, and don't text while driving. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
Meteorologist Charlotte Carl with CBS 12 News. Conditions remain nice for the rest of your Saturday. We get into the middle and upper 70s for your afternoon highs, but mostly dry skies. We have a very isolated 10 to 20% chance for rain closer to the coastline. Clouds start to build in the afternoon. Overnight, partly cloudy skies lead to a much slower cool down.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places to take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DiPaola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Yeah, there it is, 877-927-6969. If you do have a question, a comment, a concern in the world of real estate, if you'd like to be involved in the conversation at hand, don't be shy. Dial on in. We got plenty of time. And Jimothy, I assure you, will be pleasant in lining you up. At least that's what I hear in the emails. You're amazing little fluffer.
Oh, well, it's a talent. It's a gift.
Unless he recognizes your voice.
Bestowed.
Right.
You're like, you're never getting it.
You're not getting on.
I know who this is.
No way in hell you're getting through. Yeah, you're not much of a screener. You're more of a, well, I guess screener is a good way of putting it. We're not screening you out. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
That's not really the mantra of this radio station.
Mm-mm.
It's really never been.
If you wanted to get through, you just call and pretend you're asking a legitimate question.
There you go.
And then you
come on.
Then you come on, right?
Pretty much, yeah. We never really screened a call. I mean, a lot of radio stations, they want a name, they want a city, they want a whole bunch of, they want a telephone number to call back, they want all kinds of information. And we never really did that. Just a name.
Yep.
So who do we call you? It doesn't even have to be a real name.
That's right.
Oh, really?
A lot of times it is not.
Oftentimes
I
it's not.
find out off air.
Yeah. And back in the day, they might just come in and rope in like Cleveland Gary into the conversation or something. It's an old throwback, old Hurricane NFLer.
There you go.
Yeah, gotta love him. Thank you for everything, Jimothy.
Good morning.
Johnny C. Good morning to you. Johnny C., that's me. Mike Rouse over here. That's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. If you don't believe me, you can check out Facebook or YouTube. He's on camera. He's right over there, right there.
Yep.
How you doing?
I think you said beautiful people in the intro.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm one of those.
I think they're
beautiful people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
We're
on
all
there.
beautiful in our own ways, especially on a day like today, Valentine's.
Oh, so nice.
Happy. You got big plans? Doing anything?
I think we're gonna go. There's like a party at the zoo tonight where they have like music and.
Oh, you can go be with your people.
Yeah, exactly. go throw things at each other. You throw that at me, I throw it back at you.
Nice. Sounds like fun.
I think we're gonna do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Little zoo Valentine's party.
Well, they have some
This is the Palm Beach Zoo we're talking.
Yeah. We're members. We try to support.
Love that zoo.
Yeah, we enjoy the hell out of it.
I love that zoo because you're like you can do the whole thing in a couple hours, and it's like really it's intimate. It's nice, like it's cool, but you're not there like all day.
Or
you could
be, yeah,
but you could also be out in 2 hours.
You can, yeah, absolutely. And then go back, a couple weeks later and do it again.
Do it all over.
Exactly. Yeah, the critters are never in the same place.
Mm.
You know who I love? I love the lorikeets. Do you know what the lorikeets are?
Oh.
That little bird area you walk in.
You get the little nectar for them.
You get the little nectar for them.
Yep.
I love them so much.
It's like you walk into it. Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're so cool.
Awesome.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Thank you very much.
Palm Beach Zoo.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. I don't know if I'll see Jimmy D there tonight, but maybe. He's Jim DiPaola, running a top producing Keller Williams team for 14 years now. I've told you, the Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations, top producing, y'all. Jimmy D, how you be?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Johnny. Happy South Florida, everybody.
You might see Jim there.
Yeah, you go to the
Probably
Citadel?
at the
A lot of people
planetarium.
don't know
if
this. He
anything.
moonlights as a gorilla suit operator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So I don't know. You know what? I don't know if you can go to this event if you're not a member.
Oh no, he's a member.
Okay, good.
Corey, last one.
Sorry, Jim.
You're welcome.
No context.
So we're going to be talking about how to use other people's money to buy your home. And we're not just talking about only like the traditional down payment assistance programs that we've used so many times in the past with our customers with Mike. We're going to talk about how sellers can give you money, how your relatives can give you money.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about how Mike Grau and the mortgage firm can give you money.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We're going to talk about all of that. These are all different ways in order to raise extra money for your down payment and closing costs for people. And we're going to talk about that. One of the people that are listening or watching us on YouTube or Facebook, they actually were asking during the break, what kind of credit score do I need to get these kind of stuff? So we're going to talk about that too. That's a
Good
really great
question.
question. Thank you, Maxwell.
And what I love in talking with Mike is always thinking about ways for you to keep your cash. like always. Any way. Well, let me look at this. You know what? You live in this neighborhood. Let me look at this right here. Like that is like top of mind from the first time you're talking to him. Is like, how do we save you as much money as possible to get what you're trying to get done? And I'm talking about cash. Keep your cash.
We're talking about $10,000 or more, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Right? So really big stuff. So we know that one of the biggest problems that buyers have in today's market is not that most of them can afford the mortgage payment that they need to buy the kind of thing that they're looking for, but raising the money for the down payment and the closing costs and the prepaids and everything else that's involved in it, that's where it becomes really, really tough for them. So what we wanted to do is to pick Mike's brain and suck all the information out of his brain today and ask him all these different ways that people can grab money if they're cash short in order to try to get the house that they want. So Mike, do you want to start? The way I have this outlined is where we start with like the Hometown Heroes and then the SmartStart and then the Florida Bond Program and then like other ways that you can raise the money. Do you want to do it that way or do you want to start off with one of them first? Because we'll get to all of it.
Yeah, I think we could talk like Hometown Heroes,
Mhm.
the bond program, and the other kind of
The SmartStart.
county-based.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think SmartStart. That could be after the DPA because it's not really DPA. It's just it's
Well,
another avenue, right?
yes.
Third one.
Okay,
So we should
so-
definitely talk about SmartStart.
And just so everybody knows, in case you're new here or whatever, because we talk about a lot, DPA is down payment assistance.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we're talking about, down payment assistance.
And
Okay.
so, this is, I guess maybe let me set it up a little bit. So when you're qualifying for a mortgage, part of it is credit. Like, do you qualify from a credit perspective? The second part is what payment do you qualify for? So when you're trying to get approved for a mortgage, you're getting from a debt to income perspective, you're getting approved to like a maximum payment, right? As long as your payment is under your max, you're going to get approved from that side. So what payment do you qualify for? Which should kind of fall in line with what payment can you afford, right? What's comfortable. The third question is what type of loan are you doing? And within that, what type of loan are you doing is the how much cash do you have question, right? So it's like some people think FHA is the traditional like low down payment option, but conventional also has low down payment. Johnny mentioned in the end of the last segment, how do you do it with zero down? Well, the traditional zero down payment is the VA loan, right? Like no down payment required. So what type of loan are you doing? That's kind of how much cash you have determined, or at least as part of that equation. So, and then one of the biggest challenges for anybody buying a home, especially first-time home buyers, is how much cash is required and how much do you have? And how do you fill in any gaps? How do you make up any differences there? Or just frankly, like, how can you buy a home using someone else's money and kind of preserve your own nest egg or your own reserves? Or maybe you have, projects that you want to do after you buy the house. So if you can get cash elsewhere outside of your own position, that's great. So that's where these programs come in, right? So down payment assistance programs, they're exactly what they sound like. They help you with the down payment or cash required for your closing. So DPA programs are the traditional source of getting those cashes. Florida Housing, which is a state organization, which applies on all counties across the state, have several programs, one of which is Hometown Heroes. Hometown Heroes has been, of late, the very best down payment assistance program out there. There were a couple years where they opened it up to all first-time home buyers who were living and working in Florida. They've kind of scaled that back, so it's no longer that. It is profession specific, but it was great because it's the most amount of money, right? It's basically 5% of your loan amount. So if you were doing a $300,000 loan, Johnny, 5% of that would be $15,000.
$1,000.
Right?
Now
And that's $15,000 is basically money that you don't have to bring to the table. So if you need $25,000 for like kind of like all in on your side, well, if you could get 15 from down payment assistance, that's a big chunk. You got to come up with the other 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you were doing a $500,000 loan, Johnny, 5%
Of 500,000?
25,000.
$25,000.
25,000, right? Which could be enough to cover, all of your down payment requirement at 5%.
That's a big chunk.
Right?
That doesn't cap.
There's
a cap on that?
$35,000 cap.
35,000.
Now, there's also some nuance there because there's income limits under that program. So the question is like, how do you get to the $35,000 down payment assistance? Well, 35,000 is 5% of 700 and something.
Yes, seven.
Right?
7 times 5
So
is 35.
if you're buying a 700 and something $1,000 house, and there's a limit on how much income you can have to qualify, you start to run into a little bit of a problem there at the
in the
upper end.
20s is pretty a lot of people
achievable.
can get into
Yeah.
the
Like the
20s
income limits
depending on the purchase price.
we're not talking about low income. This is like moderate to, high moderate income. So like the number's pretty healthy under that program, Hometown Heroes, but you could run into some sort of limit there.
So this year they had the change where they scaled back the employment positions, which you already talked about. Before, it was pretty much anybody that worked in Florida. At one point, it was just like police, firefighters, hospital workers, government workers, right? And certain types of government workers.
The heroes, like your traditional kind of what you would think of as a hero.
Yeah, the people
In
that
the
like
community.
keep everything running and keep our engine running around here and functioning.
Now,
But
there's a
then-
movement, Jim. I heard this recently that you make heroes out of everybody in your life. Like, so Jim's my real estate hero, or Johnny's my like radio hero.
I love
so
that.
It's kind of a movement to like heroify.
It's a lot of pressure there.
Heroify. everybody. So
Heroize.
I'm not, heroize everyone. So I'm not sure how that's going to go as far as Hometown Heroes goes, but that's what they did essentially. They
So-
said, listen, you're all heroes.
It's right.
You're all heroes
Right.
as long as you live here and you work here and it's your first time buying a home.
And then Florida said, maybe not everybody's a hero.
Yeah,
And
come to
then they
think of it,
scaled it back.
Bunch of you were not here. Very heroic.
we changed
We
our
had to
mind.
scale
Maybe
it
this
back.
isn't a good idea. So they scaled it back. But then the good news about that was if you were the traditional hometown hero in this group, there was less people competing for that money, so it didn't go as fast. And I just
There's
saw
still money.
something where they just implemented more money into the program.
I saw an announcement this past week. There's an additional $7 million.
$7
I don't
million,
think
I
they
saw that.
introduced the new funding. I think they just they've calculated like, hey, we
We still
cleaned
got
up the
7.
pipeline. These ones haven't closed. We still have this
Yeah.
much funding.
So
So that's an interesting like little side story, which is they funded in its heyday. They funded $100 million and it was open to everybody. And we went through that
in about 12 weeks,
in
10 to
about
12
two
weeks.
and a half, 2.5 weeks or 2.5 months.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you didn't hit it early, you were kind of out, right? Like you couldn't do it. And that's when it was open to everybody. So it went very quickly, helped a lot of families. It was $100 million
great.
that helped a lot of families, but the money went quick. When they scaled it this year, this past fiscal year, June, it started July of 2026 or 2025, they only funded 50 million at the state level. So the state, the governing bodies, whatever it was, the government said it's 50 million this year. So because of that, we're scaling it back to the heroes, and the money has now lasted and it's still there. And there's still 7 million of that initial 50. So it's basically stretching out for almost the full year.
A full year
right?
now, yeah. So that program is pretty much, can't guarantee, but it's if you're in that group, you can almost always get this money year long.
Yeah.
You don't have to race out.
We're talking
to try-
police, fire, education
Teachers.
system, hospital, medical fields,
Certain government workers,
certain
other
government-
than police and firefighter. There's other
Military.
ones. Yeah, military.
And this is even administrative in those fields, right?
It depends. It depends.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
there's
kind of if in the medical field or in the education field, you have to have some sort of license, requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But you go to Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from
yeah.
the mortgage firm. He knows all the nuance.
There are ways to look it up on your own, but like most of the stuff we talk about, you can look it up on your own. As a matter of fact, you can even talk to your phone these days and get a lot of information. But if you want solid information in conjunction with actually the rest of what goes into being able to buy a home, you talk to a professional.
That's right.
So that's the Hometown Heroes program. Now, there's another program when you can't get into that, or when we ran out of the money back when we had the $100 million, we always had a safety net,
Right.
which is called the Florida Bond Program.
That's right.
And that program is a $10,000 flat amount that you can get if you're in this program to help pay for your down payment and closing costs, correct?
Yep. So it's the same thing. It's down payment assistance. I guess we should talk about like the down payment assistance is what I'll call a silent second. It's a second loan. It stays attached to the home. You don't have a payment on it. There's zero interest. You're not making a payment, but it stays attached to the home. So you got to think about like that part of it. But so these DPA programs work like that. So Florida Housing, $10,000. So instead of being a percentage of your loan amount, it's just a flat.
You get a flat $10,000. So whether you buy a $300,000 property or a $500,000 property,
it's
you get $10,000.
Yep.
And those are income based as well, right?
They have income limits. One caller asked like, what's the credit? So they have credit requirements, but the credit requirements fall in line pretty much with or they used to. 640 is the minimum for any of these Florida housing programs. You can get approved for a loan lower than 640, but the DPA programs at this stage still require that 640 minimum.
So 640 minimum. Is that Hometown Heroes and the bond program?
Yep. Anything with any of these DPA programs we're talking about are going to have that requirement.
And when you say they're attached, that means that if you sell the house, that's where other factors come in.
Yeah, it's repayable at that case. It's repayable when the first loan is paid off in full. So whether you sell the house, refinance the home, or pay it off otherwise, then you got essentially a balloon payment due
of $10,000.
At least
so
for now.
If you owe $200,000 on your property when you're selling it, you got to budget $210,000.
Exactly.
Because you got to pay that $10,000, which is a good thing because that money goes back into the pool and it's used for somebody else to help them out. That's what I love about these programs is that they kind of regenerate.
So we got this $10,000 when we bought our home, and when we were looking to refi years ago, that was part of the math equation. Like the number, that $10,000 was part of it. And when it finally made sense is when we refied, paid that $10,000 off, got rid of the PMI, the mortgage insurance. Like it was good, but it's, as you say, it's attached to the home and it's always part of the equation.
You got to think about it.
And you'll pay it off if you refi or pay your loan off.
And there's no interest accrued. So it's just $10,000. Whether you had that for 20 years, you're still only given $10,000 back.
That's right.
And it isn't included in your mortgage payment. It's the silent second. So you're not paying interest on that $10,000, or you're not paying any principal back. So you just got to pay it back when somebody sells or refis.
An amazing resource.
Yeah. You didn't think when you had to pay that $10,000 back, were you thinking, oh, I can't believe I have to do this?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
Nope.
When it comes time to do it, if it's like this is the difference between you buying a house and not, then it's like, okay, well, I'll deal with the $10,000 down the line, or the 15 or whatever it is, right? Like whatever that number is, you can kick that can down the road safely. It's not something that you should be concerned about, right? It's not like it's going to come back and bite you as far as a payment or like increase in your outlay. It's just you have to think about it as like Johnny, I'm going to give you a bag of cash, just hold on to it for me.
Yep.
Right. I want it back. Just hang on to it.
That's right. You can use this real quick.
It's like the Godfather with the guns and the window, like that.
And actually, I'm sure it's very rare, but if you stay in the house for the life of the loan, what happens then?
There's some nuance there. I would say right now for the majority of them, it's payable. It's repayable once you pay off that first, even if it's your 360th payment. They're gonna be like, hey,
you
got
owe
that
$10,000.
DPA. Now, those programs have fluctuated between forgivable, meaning it's not repaid in that case, to it stays attached and it's repaid. And it has something to do, Jim, with like refunding the program, right? So they want to get that money back into the program. Now, could that change in the next 30 years? Obviously, that thing can be modified. Maybe there's going to be a point where a bunch of homeowners are like, wait a second, we didn't know that we had to repay this. We didn't sign, like we didn't know. And then the state maybe like step in and do something. So, but yeah, you need to think that it's staying attached, even if you stay in the full 30 years. Now, there are programs that are forgivable. So we've got Florida Housing, they got Hometown Heroes, they got the bond program, the 10K bond. They have a couple other in there, which are kind of statewide. There are also county-based initiatives. And sometimes there's reciprocity between the counties. So for example, HFA, which is a Housing Finance Authority of Lee County, has some sort of reciprocity with right now Palm Beach County. Used to be St. Lucie County. Johnny's program was under Lee County, I think, when
I
you
think
did
so
it.
too. Yeah.
So now
it was.
and Lee County, guess what? They got 15,000 for Palm Beach County, not 10,000. Not like the Florida bond, it's 15,000. So if you're buying in Palm Beach County and you meet the Lee County standards, which is their, they have their own income tables, they have their own kind of restrictions on whatever. So it's still 640. It's still a healthy, area median income as far as like the income limits, but it's 15,000 a help. The problem is they charge a fee to do it. So they charge like a 1% fee. So you might be getting like 12,000 instead of 15,000 or something like that. But it's a little bit more than 10. So sometimes that can be appropriate. And their interest rate may be different than the Florida housing interest rate. So
is that forgivable?
No,
you have
not
to
a
pay it back.
forgivable one. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yep,
but
not
if
a
you needed
forgivable
a couple extra
Yep.
thousand, you might be able to squeeze it out of there.
So I would say almost every county in Florida has some sort of FHA or HFA, a Housing Finance Authority, and sometimes there's reciprocity between counties.
I have a question that just popped in my head. I think is important for consumers. Is that the Florida Hometown Heroes program? Do you have to be a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, most of these DPA programs require you to be a first-time home buyer, but that definition means you haven't owned a primary residence in the past 3 years.
In the past 3 years. So primary. So if you're on a deed or a title with your relative, but you're not really living there.
You haven't lived there.
You haven't, right.
You're
not
prove
living
that.
there.
Like you have to be able to say like,
Right.
I co-signed with my brother, but I don't live there. I lived here the past, 3 years. Here's my
So
driver's
you would
license.
be, because I just had that pop up where somebody had this question. I go,
Yep.
no, you would be as long as you could prove it, you would be a first time home buyer under this definition.
Yeah.
So they were like, really? And I'm like, yeah, talk to Mike.
If you
Right.
owned it and you live there, you're not going to qualify.
Then it's tougher.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the Florida bond program is definitely a first time home buyers program too, right?
Yeah. So all of these, the DPA programs, let's just say this, most of them require you to be a first-time home buyer with a couple exceptions. Veterans will be exempt from the first-time home buyer requirement. And then there are certain census tracts. That's an interesting concept. Census tracts, which is where if you're in that census tract, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. And that's with those DPA programs.
Yeah. We just,
Now, those are very limited census tracts.
We just had a townhome that we were selling in West Palm. In fact, Alex came over there to take a look at it. Remember?
Yeah, sure.
And that one met that criteria for that census tract down payment assistance program.
Okay.
Because you told me it did, and you
Okay.
like, hey, it works for the census tract. That census tract is based on ethnicity or something. What is it broken down to?
So when it comes to the down payment assistance programs and the first time home buyer exemption, they just have a list of census tracts that are in target areas, they call that. So I would just say like underserved. So demographics are part of it, but just say like underserved. So it's either lower income, underserved, some reason that they're targeted, and they say we're not going to limit people we're not going to require you to be a first-time home buyer. We just want to get qualified people.
We want to
into
get
these
qualified
neighborhoods.
people into the neighborhood.
these
So
neighborhoods.
it's kind of almost like for commercial, they call it an opportunity zone, where they
Something
give
like
you
that.
tax breaks to invest money
Or some
into
sort
that
of
area.
community lending initiative, so it's all under those categories. And those ones that are eligible for non-first time home buyers, I would say it's very limited. So they actually have a list of the ones that are available. You can check your county and see, but it's something where like it's very difficult for the layman to keep on top of all of this stuff. I would say it's even difficult for somebody in my position to keep on top of this stuff. I just happen to have a brain for it. Right. So I have a brain for it. I keep the bookmarks. I know this stuff, and I just remember certain details. And I don't know, does your census tract qualify? I just know how to look up and see if it does very quickly.
Very easily.
Right.
Yep.
Like I can check and refer to these things. So it helps if you have somebody who really knows their stuff. Like not everyone knows that HFA of Lee County has reciprocity with Palm Beach County. You can get 15,000 instead of 10,000. I just, I came across it and I remembered it and I use it. Right.
Beneficial. I got a question. USDA still have down payment?
I was just going to ask that.
So USDA is another loan type, right? So you do FHA, conventional, VA, or USDA. USDA is another type of loan, and it's a type of loan where you can do 0% down, very similar to the VA loan.
So it's not down payment assistance. It's just an awesome loan.
It's just
type.
an awesome loan type. But USDA is zone, I'll call it census tract specific also, but it's for rural communities. And so the eligible geographic areas in Florida, where, you know, areas that are eligible for the USDA loan is limited, and it's not in the majority of where we operate. So there's probably
like Belglade,
nothing-
Pahokee for sure.
yeah,
like that,
kind of like
that
the
area,
western
like
areas,
South
certainly,
Bay.
and more of like central, northern, central Florida. There's a lot of opportunities, and the Panhandle's opportunities, but down here, like in our counties, not so much. Even when you get up into like St. Lucie, and what's the county north of that?
Indian River.
Indian River County. There's more up there, but it's not on the coast. It's more kind of like
inland.
I got familiar with it. We were looking at you remember that old Florida kind of salty in Martin County?
Yes, I remember.
It was a
just
cool
thinking-
house,
yeah.
but that was USDA available.
Eligible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eligible. That
And
was
so
a
those
cool
are nice
neighborhood.
because you can do it with zero down.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
it was
zero
a
down
single
payment.
family home, and it was actually, it wasn't that far west in Martin County. It was
No.
actually, you had to go pretty far east on once you got onto Bridge Road or whatever, or Canner Highway, and you went pretty far east to get there. But that was an opportunity. The house just wasn't in good enough shape
Right.
to do something with it.
And I think before we leave from DPA, there's a couple others. Like, so there's some county-based initiatives which are very nice, but difficult to get,
Very
and that the
difficult.
funding is very limited. So you might have heard something like called a SHIP program, or State
That's-
Housing Initiative Program.
SHIP, Jimmy, don't.
Yeah, SHIP.
Got it.
Is that not coming through?
You
Clear,
know
SHIP?
it is. I'm joking.
got you.
And those ones really, really sound great. And
50,000.
if you are the one or one of the families who get in, like the standard Palm Beach County one's $100,000.
Oh wow.
$100,000 of essentially down payment assistance. I'll call it like a second, like a grant, right? Same thing, silent second, no repayment. Those ones can be forgivable after the 30 years. They're still going to have the same kind of strings, like if you refinance, if you sell the home, or if you move out of it, there's some implications there as far as repayment, but it can be up to $100,000, which is huge. I mean, I did one, they bought a condo. Now it's up to 100, right? One of the limits is you can't
buy it for zero.
Well, yeah, you can't buy it for zero. You basically have to put you have to like go 50%, right? So if you're doing $150,000 condo, I think that's around where this one landed. They had to get a loan of 75, and then the SHIP funds was 75, right? So the SHIP funds, the DPA there under SHIP, cannot exceed your loan amount. But holy cow, they're able to buy something. They only qualified for a mortgage payment on a $75,000 loan. And they were, instead of buying a home at like 80, 85,000, they were able to buy a $150,000 home because they had $75,000 of down payment assistance.
That is
There's
amazing.
a lot of hoops you got to jump through.
You have to be, number one, the funding is limited. So there's only X amount of families going to help every year. The funding is also not certain. So what does it renew every year? But it's something like, you know, we're going to be helping 50 families this year. And so if you want to be one of the 50, you have to have your ducks in a row. And you have to be, like, when they open the application portal, you need to be in front of your computer, all of your documents lined up so that you can get in there, because it's like first come, first serve. So you got to be one of the 50 first applicants the minute that they open the window to take applications. So you can be successful if you're really prepared and you're working with an agent who's prepared, an LO who's prepared, loan originator. It's very hard to wing it and do it on your own. Most of the people I come, they're like, hey, I heard about the 100,000. And I say, well, they're not taking applications, right? That money's long gone, but they're going to start in this month. If you want to be that person,
We got to do it
Gotta
now
get
and get it going.
there also may be some, like, you have to buy in unincorporated Palm Beach County. You know, there's some other things that are restrictions there. So that's one. You might have some local ones that are very, very attractive, but difficult to get. There's one that's coming up, Jim. I think you've advertised a little bit. It's 50,000, right? But it's up to 50,000, and it's a match, meaning if you're coming in with 20, they'll give you 20. If you're coming in with 10, they'll give you 10. So it's a new thing.
And
but
again, I
be
think it's
matching
only going to
funds.
be 50 to a couple hundred families in the whole county that are going to get
Yeah,
this.
I
It's
think-
a lottery, basically.
I think it's $5 million of funding.
Yeah, so there isn't that much there. So
And that's Palm Beach County specific.
That's Palm Beach County.
yes,
Yep.
it's a Palm Beach County program. They're trying to do it for affordability, but that just shows you like they're investing $5 million in this program and they're going to help maybe 100, 200 families tops. You know what I
It's
mean? And
somewhere around
so
there.
it's like
Right.
that's like a fraction of 1 month of all the sales in the county. So they're trying, but it's kind of like a drop in the bucket, if you will, in a way.
Yeah,
But each family that helped is the people themselves. That's a big thing.
and there are income limits, and there's different there are requirements for these programs on top of like your normal underwriting guidelines. So you have to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Like you have to be prepared. You have to be ready at the keyboard the minute that it opens, and you need to have all your ducks in a row. So it's possible to do. You just need to be working with people that kind of can help guide you there.
So I wanted to switch over out of DPA to a specific program that the mortgage firm is offering. And this program is really good, Johnny.
It's amazing.
And I have 2 properties right now that are going to meet this criteria. So there's extra money that both my sellers can offer the buyers if they work with Mike from the mortgage firm. Can you tell me the program is called SmartStart? I always want to call it something else. It's SmartStart, right?
The official name is the TMF SmartStart Incentive.
Okay.
So the mortgage firm SmartStart Incentive, but for short, just call it SmartStart.
SmartStart.
Yeah, SmartStart.
SmartStart. So tell me how this program works.
So this is I'm still formulating how to present this, but essentially it is a $15,000 I'll repeat that $15,000 lender credit towards the buyer to use towards any of their non-down payment costs. Okay, so closing costs, prepaids, repairs, buying out MI, like whatever. They still have to have their down payment requirement, but it's $15,000 that they can use to cover pretty much everything else, including like buying down an interest rate if you needed to use it towards that to like get your DTI in line or something like that. But it's essentially a $15,000 lender credit to use towards your costs.
So
I was amazing.
It's huge.
And
huge.
I was surprised because it's based on is it the census tract again? It's based on census tract information again?
It's census tract specific, but it's not about the borrower and it's not about the seller. It's about the house, like the zone that the house you're buying is in.
And one of the things I'm surprised about, I gave him like 4 properties that I have on the market just to see if any of these qualify. And 2 of them did and 2 didn't. And 2 of them that I thought would qualify for sure did. And then the ones that I thought weren't, one of the ones I thought weren't going to qualify
didn't.
Was the opposite, right?
Like you the one you weren't. It wasn't intuitive for you which ones were in the qualifying census tract. And these.
Let me just say one last thing. And then I went to Westlake, right? Which Westlake, brand new city, right? Brand new, everything shiny new over there. And I went to Westlake to look at a property for a potential customer, and they also are working with the mortgage firm, and they were offering the $15,000 incentive through their realtor was working with the mortgage firm, and they offered it. And I'm like, in Westlake? And I checked out with Mike.
Yep.
And then I found another property that was just as good around the corner. And Mike's like, I don't think this is going to work, but it did.
It did.
So even Westlake, so it isn't like you have to be like the SHIP program, the SHIP program. Some of those neighborhoods can be kind of rough that you're going into. I hate to say that. I placed some people back a long time before Mike, in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, sometimes
they moved out in a couple of years because they didn't like the neighborhood.
When you talk about like when you throw census tract and demographic and things like that and underserved and community initiatives, you start to think, maybe you start to get a picture in your head about like what type of communities. When you say underserved, it's like, okay, we need to get like good families into these neighborhoods. They just need a boost of like, healthy income, stuff like that. And so this one is the Smart Start incentive is not we're not like targeting census tract, but if your census tract is in it, if the demographics make sense, for qualifying, then it works. And it's a lot more than you would think, especially, and this I should qualify that. So the Smart Start incentive is specifically for Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade counties. I wish I could get up into St. Lucie and Martin, but they just, that's not where the program is. So right now it's in the lower 3 counties, and there's just a lot of qualifying areas.
Yeah,
a lot.
it's really amazing. So this couple, if they had bought this house, I checked the numbers. If they were putting 50 total all in down payments, prepaids, closing costs, let's say they had $50,000 in there, they'd really only have to, because they were doing 5% down, they'd
Yep.
really only have to bring like 35,000 to the table
Yep.
instead of 50. And that can be a huge help, especially if
goodness.
you're buying a house that's like needs some tender love and care before you move in. That's like money that you can use to
Yeah.
upgrade the house that you're not putting into just buying it,
Absolutely.
which is really nice. So that SmartStart program, can we use a couple real life examples of that, Mike? The
Sure.
program.
Sure.
So Noelke's house, right? So his house is going to be in Green Acres. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhome.
I thought he was down south.
No, he's Green Acres, Noelke.
Okay.
He's going to be buying down south, but he lives in Green Acres.
Oh, the house
right
he's
now.
selling.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
So the house he's selling meets the SmartStart program.
And maybe the house they're buying.
Yeah, maybe the house.
maybe,
Oh, wouldn't that
maybe.
be awesome?
Because he's
He gets
buying
to
down
build-
in Broward, right?
Yeah, you're right.
That's
So-
interesting. Can I use it for two different people? Oh no, because it wouldn't apply for him.
It
apply
would
for
be
his
the buyer.
buyers,
Yeah,
his
the buyer
buyers.
would get a
Jeez.
credit to help Noelke, and then he might be able to get it when he buys.
Let me just like preface this. If you're a listing agent, right? So this is really important because for buyers, it's difficult to say like, hey, let's use SmartStart, because then it's kind of like, well, I don't know if you're going to be eligible or not because it's based on the house. It's not based on you as the buyer. It's about the house that you're buying. So if the house is in a zone that qualifies, we can use it. If it's not, so it's hard like from a buyer side to say like, hey, count on this, and I don't want to direct like where you're going to find your house. But as a listing agent or as a potential seller, you are able to offer, basically it's like a seller saying, hey, I got $15,000 for your buyer. I got a $15,000 seller credit. The best way I could communicate to listing agents said, hey, what if your seller were offering $15,000 as a seller credit? Like, how powerful is that on your listing? And the answer is like, that's like a dream.
Super powerful.
That's a dream. Like, yes, please bring it.
I'm
How
doing
do we
it.
do that?
I'm
right?
doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
So as a listing agent, that's kind of like what we're
Mhm.
talking about. It's basically $15,000 there. And this one, Jimmy, there's no strings attached. It's not a silent second. It's not a grant. It's not repayable. It doesn't stay attached to the home. It's basically just
Wow, just
money
giving you 15,000.
for the buyer.
So the tough scenario in my mind, though, so if you got a buyer's agent, right, and they're out and they're taking their customer around, they probably are already like pre-approved, right, to a certain extent.
Mhm.
That means they're already with an LO, and if they're not with the mortgage firm, if they're not with Mike
That's
Rao,
right. That's
they're
right.
not gonna have this smart start
Option.
opportunity.
They don't have the
right?
option.
This is
That's
the
the
thing,
thing
that,
about
it kind of, this is the part that kills me the most, because I am not the type of operator where I want to take business away from somebody who's in the same business that I am doing a good job, right? Like, I don't care which company you work for, you're doing a good job. You work as hard as I do, and you work for a living, right? So I am not interested in like stealing business from that. Just like Jim is a real estate agent, you would never be like, oh, come work with me. Your agent's
No.
terrible, right? You don't operate that way. So that's hard. Like, you're out there, you're shopping. If you've done things the right way, the way that we advocate, you're already pre-approved. Like, you're already working with a lender. You may have spent a lot of time with this lender, and
They may be very thorough. They may be very
Yeah,
good at what they
yeah.
do too.
But there's also a lot of people, especially you talk to agents who are doing open houses. A lot of people come to open houses, don't have an agent, haven't talked to a lender, or maybe, and these are the ones I don't mind so much, they're walking around with the generic pre-approval from your national
Scud missile
institution,
company,
you know,
things
something like that. And I'm like,
You're
okay,
not-
I got
you're-
50,
you're
we got 15K for you. That's an easy one.
Yep.
So I would love the scenario where they're not like already working with somebody. I would hate to take business, but listen, at the end of the day, it's $15,000,
But
and it can make
from-
a difference for somebody whether they can buy it or not.
From the realtor's perspective, Mike, it's always tough when I'm working with the buyer. We have them come over to you. It's really tough on me for this, right? We have them come over to you. You do a great job. You get them loan qualified.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they decide they're going to buy new construction, which is okay, right? And a lot of times it is best for them when they decide to do that. But when we do new construction, sometimes the developers are offering such huge incentives right now. There's no way that a
Can't
direct
compete.
lender can compete. It just can't happen. And I have to call Mike because it's in the best interest of the consumer, my customer. Mike, I'm sorry, they're going to go new construction. And once in a while you're able to do what the develop. I know there
Sometimes.
once or twice Mike is actually, they came back to Mike to still buy the new construction because the developer couldn't do it.
I've
But-
definitely saved deals from developers, loan
When they can't
teams
do it.
who just like don't know what they're doing.
But it's
What-
always hard. But the thing is, as the realtor, you have to do what's right for the consumer. And Mike understands that too. And sometimes that's the way it goes.
I mean, Jimothy is a perfect example.
Yeah.
He did new construction. We had
Oh,
him
yeah, that's
pre-approved.
right.
He
Yeah.
knew like we were doing our thing, right? And then they incentivized him to I couldn't compete with what they were offering. What did I tell you, Jimmy? I was like, yeah, you got to do that, man.
Yeah,
Like, don't worry
absolutely.
about
So-
it. You got to
and
do
it
it.
crushed me because of all the work
Yeah.
that you did put out.
yeah. And
but
it really
that's
sucks.
The
It-
great part about this team is you can get that free advice, and that's what it was for
Right.
me. But at some point, it's going to pay off.
And
Yeah.
again, and so I take a little bit of solace in. I'm not like, if I'm taking some business, it's not because that's my
goal.
then my goal isn't do that. But if it makes sense for the buyer and it's like makes a difference between them getting into a situation that works versus not working, or is just better for them.
And
That's-
here's going to be one
Quick
of the,
question to tie
oh.
into this. What if it's new construction in a neighborhood that's got the right census tract?
We could look at it for sure.
You might be able to apply
I mean,
Smart Start into
100%.
yes.
Yeah. So and there's the other thing that's different with Smart Start. So number one, it's not a silent second, doesn't stay attached. It's just basically just money you can use.
Yeah, this is
There's
this
also-
is the mortage firm hooking
This is
you up with 15
exclusive to the
grand.
mortgage firm.
Right.
There's no other lender that has this program. Okay, it's exclusive to the mortgage firm. What was I going to say? Oh, it's not a first-time home buyer. There's no income restrictions. There's no credit restrictions on top of the normal guidelines. So you still have to qualify for the loan that you're trying to do, but as long as the home qualifies, you're in. You're in.
And
I mean, it's really, really amazing.
It,
Right.
it truly is.
And you should ask your realtor, because a lot of times the realtors are the ones that recommend the lender for the buyer, right?
Just like you do all the
Just
time.
like I do all the time, right? They don't have to use Mike. I just highly recommend them. It's like, why wouldn't you use Mike, right? I don't take any referral fees from Mike. Mike doesn't give me any referral fees when he gives me customers. We do our thing. We work together. But a lot of realtors go, oh, I'm with my lender. I don't want to tell them about this $15,000 this opportunity because their lender can't offer it, and they have that relationship with the lender. That's not working in your best interest of your customer, right? You're the person that hired you to do the best job to get the best house for them with the best terms. So just know that these are out there, and you should be talking to your realtor, not just the mortgage broker you're working with, and saying, hey, what kind of programs are out there or incentives are out there for me that I can use?
All right, so here's the scenario. You got a buyer and they're coming to Mike, right? Jim, you bring them to Mike. Everything's looking good. They're in the pipeline for Hometown Heroes, right? This is a sheriff, and he's going to buy his first home, and they're in the pipeline for Hometown Heroes. And the home they're looking at is in this perfect neighborhood with the census tract, qualifies for the Smart Start. Can you pile all these in together? And you use the Smart Start for all your down payment, the Hometown Heroes for all your down payment, and the Smart Start for buying down interest rate.
Yeah.
And, can you work those together?
It depends, John. It depends. So it's possible. So I want to say the first thing, if you're doing the Florida housing, the Hometown Heroes, or the standard 10K DPA, I don't think I can stack that with Smart Start. But the community ones, like the SHIP program, something like that, I can.
Or the
stack.
$10,000 grant,
the
bond.
The bond, I think I can't stack it with that one.
Gotcha.
So you don't know yet. We might try.
Yeah, we can try. It's the thing with the Smart Start is like the mortgage firm is in control of this program 100%. So it has evolved. They kind of like slow rolled it out last year. It started as a percent of your loan amount, something like 1%. Then it evolved, and we could only use it to cover, it wasn't for regular closing costs. It was either just buy down the rate or buy out mortgage insurance. And then that evolved to $7,500 flat, which was better than 1% in most cases.
Nice.
And then they're like, okay, in Dade, we're going to do 15,000, but Broward and Palm Beach, it's 7,500. And then this year they finally listened to us, the loan originator, the boots on the ground. And they were just like, okay, it's flat 15,000, all three counties, use it for anything that's not down payment. And the reason you can't use it for down payment is because it's not a grant program. It's not a government initiative. It's essentially a private initiative. So you have to come in with your down payment requirements. So if you do an FHA at 3.5% or conventional at 3 or 5%, or VA 0, you have to come in with that down payment on your own. But this money is basically like closing cost. When you're talking about $15,000, and you said Jim something like real world example, like this townhome you're selling is going to be somewhere like 400 ish.
Yeah, so 400. So how, like, if they were to get the 15 grand on that, right? If a buyer were to get the 15 grand on a 400,000, I'm using 400 flat. No, okay, I'm not saying we're going to do it at 400. It might be a little bit higher than that. So, but if we were to do 400 flat,
yeah, I'm like, that's going to cover most, I would say, the majority of your closing costs and your prepaid items.
And the prepaids are for insurance and taxes.
The big
up front.
ticket item there is that you're buying your first year of homeowners insurance at upfront, right? So if that's a $4,000 policy, that money has to be paid at closing, right? So you can cover the $15,000 would be enough to cover all your closing costs and probably
what would happen if you had money left over after paying the closing costs and prepaids? Could you use that to help buy down the interest rate then? Could you buy down with the money?
Like sometimes, Jim, you can use it to buy down. You basically increase your closing costs by paying points to get a lower interest rate, and then use the SmartStart to cover those costs, right? So it's basically you're increasing your costs and then using the money that way. So now you could use it 100%. Like if I had 15,000, let's say you're doing a $400,000 loan. Just rough math, okay? It takes 1% of a fee, so $4,000, to buy down your interest rate about a quarter of a point. Okay, so you need to pay 4% in fees
to get about
to buy down your interest rate to go from say 6 to 5%, as an example. So what's 4% of 400,000?
16.
So $15,000 is basically going to buy your interest rate down a full percent.
Which I love because that's locked in for 30 years.
If you use that. And that, so you may do that, like to put all them, you still have all your costs, you're going to have, but you got cash for that. Now I'm going to get my interest rate down. I'm going to do a permanent buy down, get my interest rate down to 5% instead of 6%. And that's going to save me, it's probably $300 a month, something like that on that payment, just with that 1% at that loan amount.
Yep.
You don't have to use it that way, but that's one way you could use it.
Smart way to use it.
You could also split it up. Like you could do a refinance for, hey, SmartStart applies for refinances too, at least for a limited amount. We have like X number of families we can do refinance on, because it is like a housing, buying initiative. But we're allowing it for refinances. And so you might split it up. Maybe some of it goes towards rate and some of it goes towards covering costs.
Amazing.
Right? So we just find the best way to utilize it. You might say, Jim, you might say, I want to preserve as much of my money as possible, because the minute I move in, I gotta do this, do bathrooms, or I just want to refurnish the whole place, or hey, I want to put a deposit down on a pool, or whatever it is.
Sure,
you can say, I'm whatever. I'll take the prevailing rate. I just want to cover my costs. I want $15K in my pocket when it's all said and done that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And you can use it for that.
So let's get to the, I want to get to the last segment, Mike, which is not using government programs, not using an offering like from a company like the mortgage firm, the only company that's offering the SmartStart. I keep calling it Smart Sense because I'm thinking Census Bureau. That's why I don't know.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, Smart Census.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking SENSE, but thinking it's related to the census tract. That's why I keep calling it Smart Sense.
This is how Jim operates. Remember I said earlier, that's how I operate? How Jim operates is he takes the program SmartStart, and then he thinks about census tract, and then he uses a completely new word, sense, in there because
that's the way I do it.
Phonetically, it makes sense. All right.
Yes, because I do everything simple.
Right. It works. It works.
So there's another way to get money too. And that way is to get money from the seller itself, right? You ask the seller to help you out with the down payment and the closing costs, correct?
A traditional best way to get help with your cash position is get it from the seller. And it's funny because Frank, you mentioned earlier, Frank like Josh was telling Frank, hey, we got some money from the seller. And Frank's like, I think they did that back when I bought in 2017
It was
or
a
18,
while, yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
whenever Frank, I forget when he bought, but we did help Frank. This is a
Mhm.
referral from a past client from years ago, right? Who
Mhm.
we just kind of, I've helped Frank, actually some of his family as well. But that was one where it was like, yeah, if you can get it from the seller, that's gravy. That's just basically free money. And sometimes we structure the deal, so there's a little bit of
So let's
give and
talk
take
about
there.
how that works for people.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that you can afford a mortgage payment, but you're really tight on your down payment and closing costs to bring to the table, and you would like somebody to help pay for those closing costs to get into the house. Just the closing costs. We're not talking about buying down the loan. Okay, we're just talking about I need 25,000 to move in, and
I only got 10,
and I only got
15.
right. I only got 15,000.
Yes.
So one of the things you can do is you can negotiate with the seller and say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I know that you want to sell your house for." I'm making up numbers. I know you want to sell your house for $500,000. We want to buy the house, but we'd really like to have $15,000 back at closing to help pay for some of these closing costs and down payment stuff. So how about we put the price at $515 and you give us $15,000 back? Now, in that case, what you're basically doing is you're financing the closing costs in a way, because what's happening is you're raising the price and getting that money back. So you're paying you're paying on that 15,000, right?
Yeah, you're going to be borrowing, so you're bumping up the price by 15,000, and you're doing a loan at. I'm just going to do the easy math. Let's say you're doing a 5% down conventional. You're borrowing 95%. Like your loan is 95% of your sales price. So you're essentially borrowing 95% of that $15,000.
Right.
Right? Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes.
And of course, your payment's going to be a little bit higher because of that.
But you have money in your
The
pocket.
trade-off is you have $15K that you didn't have to bring to the table.
And what a lot of people don't know with today's interest rates, and they don't know this math, and the math is the magic number, is that every 5,000 costs you about 30,000 a month, or you can save $30 a month if you go down 5.
Yes.
So if you buy a house at, let's say that you buy a house at 500, and you get the 15 back to pay for,
bump up the price, get the 15 back,
and then maybe buy down the interest rate, right? Buying down the interest rate. Well,
now you're getting
we're going
complicated.
okay. Yeah.
Now we're talking about sensor and Sensa and
well, okay. So yeah, let me start over again. So the one way you can use that money is you could ask them for a credit back at closing, and you use it for your closing costs. You can't use it usually for your down payment, right, Mike? You only can use it for the closing costs and the prepaids?
Yeah. So when you get a credit from a seller or from a lender, those can't be used towards your down payment requirement, right? DPA can be, because those are housing initiative, federal housing, whatever. But the seller credits, realtor credits, lender credits, those can't be used towards your down payment, but they can be used towards your closing cost requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so one way is to raise the price, right? In this example, 15,000. So now I'm going to pay 515. I get 15 back at closing, but you don't have to do that. You could just say, "Hey, I know you're selling your house for 500. I want to pay 485, and I want you to give me back $15,000." And you could do that, and I've done that successfully too, where you're not giving them extra money. You're actually going lower and then asking for another, a credit on top of that.
The best way this works, from a buyer perspective, is you figure out where the sellers, what they really want, and then you structure your offer around getting them that number, right? So if they have it listed for 500, they want 500, but you might make an offer and say, okay, I'm 485 with the 10K credit, right? So essentially the seller's getting 475. And then they counter and they say, no, we don't like that, but here's our counter offer. Well, they've just given you some information, and you now know where they stand from the number that they want to walk away with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So take Jim's initial example. It's like, oh, they want 500. I'm going to offer them 515 and ask for 50. Well, they're going to get their 500. But if they're willing to take 490, then you structure it. Okay, I'm going to offer you 505 with a 15K credit. So they get their 490. You're kind of financing the additional 15. So there is a cost on the payment, right? So for every 5,000 more you borrow, it's going to be about $30 on your payment. So in that scenario, your payment is $90 higher a month, but you're left with $15K in your pocket to do with what you want.
And it'll take a long time for that $90 to reach 15,000. Many, many payments before you get that 15,000, equal to the 15,000 that you're saving right now when you need it right now. The other thing a lot of people don't get is, Mike, and I just want to talk about this with the wholesaler credit. You just gave a good example. So on the $400,000 house, right?
Yeah.
If we were getting $15,000, but we used it to buy down the mortgage rate, you said they might save $300 a month.
That's right.
But if we went from 400 and subtract and say, I don't want to pay 400, I want to pay 385, right? I'm only saving $90 a month by not buying down the interest rate. If you just drop the price, hey, I don't want to pay 400, I'll pay 385, right? I'm only saving $90 a month, $30 for each 5,000. But if we say, hey, I want to do 400, I want to get 15 back to buy down the interest rate, I'm saving $300 a month, which is basically a $200 a month savings compared to the other way. So that isn't really logical the way people think. So you have to know people that understand numbers to work that out. And that's a big mistake buyers make. They always focus on trying to get a lower price and not the best terms. And the best terms can save you hundreds of dollars a month on your mortgage payment.
And this is something we talk about all the time with people. Is like, okay, if you're going to extract some money from the seller, what's the best place? Do you just ask for a lower price? Like, I'm not going to pay a dollar above 385 for this home. It's like, well, no, it's going to appraise higher than that. It's going to appraise at 395. We're comfortable with that. Why don't you go in 395 and get the 10K credit and then use that 10K however you want? Buying down the rate is a great one. Like, the price reduction doesn't save you much as far as from a payment perspective. Now, caveat, you're borrowing this money. There's interest on the money over the long term. It's going to be a lot, but it's going to really feel good from a payment perspective or from a cash perspective if you use their money to supplement your requirements, right? And it's not very painful from a payment perspective. And I don't say that because, like, I don't care like what interest rate you end up getting, right? And I don't care like whether you finance that additional 10,000. Makes no difference to me whatsoever, but can make a huge difference for you as the buyer. And at the very least, we should kind of like lay out these scenarios, and then you determine what works best. I love the idea from the negotiating perspective of finding the seller's point and then structuring around that, Johnny. Like, that's once you know what they're willing to take, then you can kind of massage it. We just did it, Jim. We just did it. You had a offer, counter offer, and we ended up saying, hey, listen, now we know what you guys want. We're willing to give you what you want, but we want to tweak things a little bit to benefit our buyer. And that's exactly what we did. You presented it to the agent. The agent, I'm assuming, got it, understood it, and got a really good deal. And so the seller's getting what they want. The buyer's getting what they want.
Yep.
What better way to end a negotiation than that?
It doesn't get any better than that, actually. And what you just heard is a great example of working with an amazing team of professionals. You get that at floridatalkrealestate.com. You should know it. You should use it and share it. You will love it if you do. On Facebook and YouTube, hit the share button, hit the like button. We got a team of pros. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. If we're really intriguing you on this conversation, if you're looking to be buying a home anytime soon, there is lots of opportunity. If you're working with people that are great at what they do, and again, with the mortgage firm, SmartStart gets you a $15,000 advantage just by working with, one we recommend highly, Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. That's $15K potentially if you're buying in the right neighborhood, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade, just right off the top. Before Jim starts negotiating, before we start looking at any bond programs, there is a path to potentially zero down. I mean, or as close to as possible.
Zero out of pocket.
Yeah, zero coming out of pocket. It's better said. The reality is, if you're sitting around waiting on interest rates, which seems to be the focus of everybody, it is a very important number, but it is not the most important number. We try to talk about this on the regular. The most important number is your monthly obligation. When's the best time to buy? When that works best for you and your family. Don't get lost in what that interest rate is. can all be worked down. We talked about with the SmartStart, you can buy that interest rate down.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of ways to work around it, but you got to be working with people that are great at what they do. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Jimmy D, we're going to wait for interest rates to come down, or we're going to try to work this thing.
I know, right? Exactly.
Jim just wants, you probably want to say, like, while everyone else is waiting, that's when you go.
Let's go.
That's when you go.
It's true. And we are starting to see traction pick up a little bit. So the buyers, if they don't get into the market now, they might be competing with other people harder. Yeah. So
I mean, we are in a market still, Jim, where we're talking about the seller credits. There's been markets in the span of this show where seller credits were the norm, and then there were markets where seller credits were unheard of.
No way.
If you don't, no chance.
Yep.
No chance. You're not getting. Why would I do that? I got 5 people trying to buy this house.
You're going to actually have to outbid other people. Yeah.
I mean, it's so possible now. So between SmartStart and like seller credits, there's sometimes Jim asks us, like, what do we do if we have too much money on the table? Right.
Yeah, that's happened before.
What happens when we exceed our closing costs? You can't use it towards down payment. Like, what do we do? And so we have to find some ways of utilizing. But that's a great problem to have.
Yeah,
I love that problem.
Too much money on the table. What are we going to do?
So down payment assistance has been discussed a good amount here. What if you're getting cash from a family member? Like, is there some real caveats to using? Like, hey, I'm ready to go, and I'm going to get this 10 grand from my mom. And you're like, wait a minute, you didn't tell me about this. Like, there's a process to use and gift money, right?
It would be unusual for me not to have brought that subject up initially. It's part of my normal interview.
I'd be shocked, actually.
Yeah. This is really great. I don't have to, like, a lot of people are like, send me a bank statement. Oh, let me see your mom's banks, all of this stuff. I basically have a conversation with somebody. I ask them where the money is for this purchase, how much ballpark do they have, and where does that money live? Okay. That framing of that question prompts okay, well, what do you got in your checking? What do you got in your savings? What do you have in your IRA? Are you getting any help from family? How much? Have you talked about this? Okay. And here's what I say to them. Very easy to use gift money from family. Very easy. Don't do anything. Just talk to them. Make sure you guys know the dollar amount. Don't do anything. I don't want them sending you money. I don't want them giving you a check. I don't want them, giving you the cash from under their mattress or anything like that. Just let's talk about how much it is, who's giving it. Okay, what type of loan are we doing? That's how we're going to document it. So right now, just hang tight. I know it's there. I'll tell you how to do it when the time comes. And so that's a great one. Very, very traditional for first-time home buyers, especially the younger first-time home buyers. They have family who's prepared to help them out one way or the other, whether it's 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. It depends. But you just need to be careful about the movement of that money. We have to kind of document in a specific way, and we want to make sure, it's not a loan. Right? You can't borrow money from family to do this. It has to be a gift from family. And everyone's kind of acknowledging that's a gift. There's no expectation of repayment.
Yeah. So you can, that's another way to use other people's money is to actually go to a family member. Even we had one, Mike, where an employer helped give a gift to a,
that's awesome.
FHA allows employer gifts. So a lot of employers, they'll have, and sometimes you can do unconventional if it's like a super structured program. So FHA is a little bit more relaxed with it, but your employer, and a lot of employers do this. So like, hey, you're a valued employee. We want to help you continue to be a valued employee. We want you to stick around. Why don't you buy a house? We're gonna give you incentive.
Yeah.
So some of the big employees, but also small employees. And I'll tell you what, if you have worked for your place for a while and it's never come up, you might want to talk to them about it. Say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about buying a house. Do you guys have any type of help? Any type of incentive?
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah.
The companies that I've seen usually do that, they're more like the mom and pop companies that are, just not big corporations, but like they might be very profitable and everything and have like maybe like AC companies or electricians or plumbers and stuff. And they just don't want to give up that great tradesman they got on their team. So they're more than happy sometimes to say, hey, yeah, I'll contribute $5,000 to get you a house or $10,000 if that's what you need. We'll work it out. I want to keep you here.
Here.
So that's really good.
So when you were talking about not having your family member send a check and don't move the money around, that fits under what was the term I've heard forever? Seasoning, right? That you got to know where the money's been, how it's been there.
Yeah, and seasoning is one of those things. I don't know how much time we have, but essentially, we track your assets because we're protecting against two things. We're protecting against money laundering, right? And these are like federal regulations that are required. We're protecting against money laundering, and we're protecting against what they call a straw buyer, which is let's say Jim and I were related. Jim's credit is SHIP, and right, right,
Yes.
See it?
I like it.
Yeah.
Callback right there.
And but he's got I got good credit. He wants to buy a house. He's got the money, so he's like, "Hey, Mike, I need you to apply for a loan for me. You can do everything in your name, but I got the money, right?" So I would be the straw buyer.
Straw buyer.
Right? It's really Jim's house, but I'm buying. So we look at seasoning, which means we look at how long you've had your money. So something
And
like
where
2
it ca-
months.
and where
Yeah,
it
where it
got-
came from. So we're going to grab 2 months of statements. Any money that's come in that time, we're going to say, where did it come from? If it didn't come from your work, we're going to really take a hard look at it. So you don't want to have to document something unnecessarily, and especially if it's not documentable. Like my dad doesn't like banking, right? He keeps cash. So yeah, he got 10 grand in cash, right? He just gave it to me, right? Or he just went to the bank and deposited my account. That's a problem because I can't source it at all whatsoever. There's no paper trail other than the story. Like my dad accumulates cash somewhere.
Right.
So best thing to do is just do nothing.
Talk to your lender.
Communicate.
Talk to
before-
me.
Yeah,
We'll have a
talk to Mike.
plan and we'll execute the plan when the time is right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know we were getting kind of late. Do you mind if we just plow through? Because taking the break is kind of ridiculous
Oh,
at this point.
don't mind to me.
Take a
Okay,
break
cool.
with
I
you.
just
You good
want
over
to
there?
make sure.
You good?
Yeah.
Minutes of the show.
I already
Yeah.
fixed a
You
lot,
planned
so-
it long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, we're not breaking.
Nope.
So
How long are we going to say good morning to Susan on?
I don't
on the
know. I
video?
didn't hit
It's
the
been
enter.
there for
Oh, sorry.
most of the show.
I'm
at this point.
I'm doing stuff. I'm sorry.
There
Oh,
goes
and
our-
I just
there goes our
lost.
great
I
video
just
feed.
lost what I wanted.
I should have pointed that out earlier.
Hold on.
You should have. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay,
Well-
here it is. I wanted to talk about property taxes again.
Oh.
We put out a video this week about the property tax stuff. It's on YouTube and Facebook, and it was getting a lot of hits on it. Anytime you talk about eliminating property taxes, everybody starts watching it a
Ears
little
perk
bit.
up. Sure.
Yeah, so there were two things that happened I thought were kind of interesting just to follow about Florida's attempt to try to figure out how to make home affordability through property taxes. Congress, federal government, just took a step to make housing more affordable. I don't know how well this is going to work, but the bill's called the Housing for the 21st Century Act. This is a bipartisan bill. Did I say that? Bipartisan? It's a bipartisan bill. But it's just a House bill. It has to get through the Senate. Here are some of the ideas that they're thinking of doing. They're trying to make it easier to get lending through community banks. They're trying to updating zoning laws that block new construction to make it easier for developers to find land that they can build on. I still don't think that's the problem. Lower costs to manufactured homes, to lower costs for manufactured homes. And I think that's going to be more about the building code regulations, Johnny, that we talked about last week.
Right.
And then finally, converting empty office buildings into apartments, which I think could be potentially a very good idea. The problem I see is the plumbing. I always thought about that with office buildings because you got to have a bathroom and kitchen in every place. So that seems like it's a mess when you try to do that
Tying in
internally,
all that.
tie it all in.
Mm.
But these are things that the federal government right now is trying to do about affordable housing. Now, on the local level, the state legislators and the governor have been talking about a lot of different ways to try to reduce or eliminate property taxes or make it more affordable. Georgia just came up with their idea. Now, it's passed in their House, but not their Senate yet. Very controversial. So what they're trying to do right now is what we floated out lately, which is to reduce the assessed values by $100,000 a year until 2032 for Georgia.
You're saying Florida floated that, not this show. They're not. Georgia's not
Florida,
listening to us.
Florida. No,
Okay.
the
They
state
should.
legislators and the governor
Okay.
have talked about that. Georgia just passed it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Senate. They didn't get it through the House yet. The Georgia State Senate passed this bill where they're going to basically have your taxes reduced, except for school and police. Your taxes reduced by $100,000 a year for assessed value until 2032, and by then, everybody will have like $1 million exemption,
Mhm.
and so very few people are going to be paying, property
tax
taxes on that.
some of those things. Okay.
Now, the House isn't real happy with that because they said, how are you going to pay for everything if that happens? So the state House in Georgia is like, I'm not sure we like this plan yet. So I don't know if it's going to be approved or not. which is exactly what's happening in Florida now. Everybody's like, we really want to eliminate property taxes, but how are we going to make up the difference? I think in Florida, it's 18 billion. The one thing that I wouldn't like to see is to have the problem I see with both of these plans is that local control is going to be lost more and more. It's going to be more of a state hierarchy thing.
Yep.
It just seems like local rights are being stripped away more and more and more and on many different levels.
And when it comes to like your local services and your local beautification and your local infrastructure, you would want locals in charge of that.
Yeah, I
You would
agree.
think.
I mean, you move to one city and not another city because that's the lifestyle you choose, right? If you're moving to the central part of Florida that's very rural, I'm just giving an example, right? You don't want a lot of stuff, right? You want to be left alone. You want your piece of land. You don't want a neighbor near you, blah, 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 blah. If you move down to Delray Beach by the ocean, you want the Atlantic Avenue feel and you want to have nice restaurants to go eat at and fancy restaurants and good shopping and places to go. Those are completely two different concepts of life.
Totally.
And people should be able to vote how they want to spend their taxpayer
Or
money
even, like-
for those both two different experiences and not have somebody in Tallahassee telling people in other parts of the state, this is how you're going to live.
One of the great things about like, any of these counties, but Palm Beach County, you have everything you just mentioned, right? You got that kind of that a little bit more rural, do what you want to area. And then you also have the downtown areas where you can go and have fun, or the restaurant areas, or
and you got the super wealthy, and you've got Belgrade, which is, if it was a country, it would be one of the poorest countries in the whole world per capita.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. Belgrade is
interesting.
one of the poorest areas in the whole world. I mean, right up there in Africa and stuff like that, in South Africa, not South Africa, Africa, the continent.
Just per capita.
Per capita.
Wow.
Yeah. And, well, I don't want to even get into that. But
anytime we talk about the property tax, the one thing that I think about is like, what are they doing with how are they making up the money? And if they're not making up the money, what do the local municipality governments do? It's not even like do more with less. It's do the same with less, or inevitably do less.
And
with less.
that's eventually,
Do less with less.
that's what's going to happen, because there's going to be winners and losers. If we get to eliminate property taxes or greatly reduce them, there's going to be, that'll be the winners. And then there's going to be losers on the other side, because something's got to give, right? Something's got to give either way. And it could be that every time you go to the store, you're paying your property taxes every time you buy something, right? Because whether you own a property or not, you're paying for the property taxes, because every time you're going, instead of 6% or 7% sales tax, it'll be 12.
Or maybe they funnel, that to figure out some, these government people can be creative. They funnel the community funding through the school funding, right? Or the police and fire. So now the police department has a beautification division all of a sudden, right? Or
and you can't
right?
touch it because it's police.
And I think I just heard, I was listening sometimes on like the public radio, you'll hear the school board meetings. I feel like I heard one from Broward, just maybe it was yesterday or sometime this week. They're like $100 million short on their school budget.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Right. Because of
charter schools.
I think it was because of school moving out of the public schools and into the private schools. And so it's like, well, wait a second. This is a school budget. These school budgets aren't going to be cut, but it's like, how do you cut? They're already 100 million short. What are they doing? Like, where is that going to go?
Didn't Lotto prop that up?
Yeah, should be.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
statewide.
Remember, I covered it the first week that the Lotto opened up, right? Ever in Florida Lottery. So I went out on a Saturday when they were going to do the first lottery. And I remember going to a Dunkin' Donuts, because Dunkin' Donuts in Delray sold on Federal Highway, sold lottery tickets back then. This is, I don't remember, the 90s, I guess. And I drove over there and everybody's standing in line, but nobody's buying any donuts. They're all waiting for their first lottery tickets because it was the first drawing. And I just remember that back then they promised that all that money was going to go to schools, and it didn't. They just started stripping it out over time.
They repurposed.
Yeah, and they repurposed all the money, and it's like,
or did the schools be like, yeah, now our budgets, finally we can fund some of these projects, and then all of a sudden, like, that's the other part of what we've talked about, which is like, how do you rein in the spending?
Right.
Like, you just kind of force them to rein in the spending.
there's no easy answers on this. I'm glad that, like I've been saying every week, I'm glad that they're trying to come up with ideas and stuff. I'm not being critical because I don't have the answer either.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, every time I look at it, and I'm weighing the pros and cons of each option right now, and I'm not seeing one that makes a lot of sense yet.
You could go to AJ's perspective, which is like, it's not broken. It doesn't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like the homestead's already
Actually.
there. The caps on assessments, it's already there. They can adjust the millage rates if they need to. Like, seems like that's a solution as well. It's just like, do nothing, but still try to rein in spending.
They could
go
tweak,
to your
they
budget
could tweak
meeting.
it and benefit homesteaded homeowners,
Sure.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that's the purpose, right? I mean,
And I'm
isn't it?
wondering, like, if you've owned the home to a certain amount of year and it's paid off, maybe those people get the break so that they don't lose their homes to higher tax
I
increases.
would love to see some protection.
My biggest
That'd be
problem with tax collection and property taxes is that when we see these huge price increases
Mhm.
that we see, it's ridiculous that that local agencies and county agencies are not forced to
Keep it in line.
rein in the cost during that period. It just seems like when we have the big booms,
They've got projects,
they
Jim.
dropped
They
the-
got
they
projects that have been sitting on the sidelines.
like St. Lucie County, they dropped the millage rates up there, or the city of Port St. Lucie, they'll drop the millage rates, but people are still paying more because of the huge price increases overall. There's no
but remember,
reason.
the existing homestead protects against that because it does put a cap on how much your assessed value can increase year over year. So even though the market value has gone up, the homesteaded properties are protected against that. Somewhat.
Bull, because then when the new person buys it,
Well,
the
then-
new person buys it, it goes from 5,000 a year to 10,000 a year, and they can't afford the home anymore. And it wouldn't have to be like that if during those big boom years, they don't just get to grab
Bump up.
in extra money because the millage rate, they should have some kind of cap on the way the millage rate, or a reduction in the millage rate automatically if the values go up super crazy high.
Well, maybe if it's a first time home buyer, and maybe use the parameters if you haven't owned a primary in 3 years, or something like 2 years, you say that's first time home buyer, or maybe you make it a little more, like you haven't owned a primary in 5 years. They get to, as long as you're buying a homesteaded property, you get to slide in
To their
to
homestead.
I
their
love that.
homestead.
That
I
would
love
be a
that.
really
Right?
great
That-
idea, because it isn't hurting the county either, because they're already okay with that homesteaded taxable
right,
rate.
and then that portability still there for the
Yeah,
homes. Maybe
that's
that's how you
that's an
do it.
idea.
And
It's like an
extend that.
upgraded portability. So
Yeah.
it's a first time home buyer, you would cap, you just leave it in place. You're
Yeah.
saying, listen, we're not going to penalize you. Now there's got to be some caveats. I mean, there's people who've had a homestead for 25 years. They're paying, $1,200 a year in taxes, and their neighbor's paying $9,000 a year. Right. So there's some sort of, like, some people are under,
Sure,
right? So maybe but I like that.
but yeah, it's a good
Should we
place
call
to start.
Dorothy?
Maybe
Can we
Mhm.
call
I like
Dorothy?
the concept. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
need
We
to
actually
start
got
talking
Jim. You
to
have
people.
Dorothy on speed dial, don't you, Jim?
Yeah, right. But we're going to be getting her on very soon. And I'm
Dorothy
trying to get
Jacks.
Mike Caruso on, because he's talking about that whole lock thing about your that free program where you just sign up with them, and if anything happens to your title on your property, you get automatically noticed, and it's free. So I'm trying to get him on the show too. Just really, really quick, because I know we only got like 3 minutes, right, Jimmy? Am I
Yep.
wrong about that?
2.5.
Okay, so let's just talk about falling home prices. I'm seeing a lot of articles where they're just saying that there's a total price collapse happening in Florida and stuff. And the short answer to that is yes and no.
price
And the-
collapse really paints a picture, though, that I don't think is appropriate.
Well, if you're in Fort Myers, in that area where the double hurricanes were and everything, there's a total collapse over there, and it's true.
But that's been predicted on this show really for a year plus.
It
I mean,
has.
that's- yes.
But at the same time, if you're in the super wealthy, multi-million dollar market, super high, no price depreciation happened there. If you're under 400,000 and you're a single family home, or you're in a home in good shape, if it's a townhome or something, those prices are not dropping because there's so many people need affordable homes.
Mhm.
But that 550 to 750 market, that's a little weaker. 550
soft.
to 800, it's softer, and you can probably get better deals at those price points.
Here in our counties?
Yeah, even here in our county. So that's the hard market, and that's the ones that are getting the sticker shock on the tax increase.
Sure.
I just had one where they budgeted, the current bill is $4,000 a year for the current owner. Even with the portability, they're going to be paying $8,800 a year
Ooh.
versus the $4,000, right? And they thought they would go from 4,000 to 5.
I should
5,000.
show you how to really calculate that for people. You're using the tax calculator,
I
right?
am. I'm using.
I should show you how to really do it.
Okay, maybe we'll do it on a segment real soon.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the really valuable information that you guys share on the regular. And thanks for tuning in to Consume It. Always remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com, your one-stop real estate shop. Access to the entire team. Pros. I'm talking experts in their field. And they work cohesively together. So if you're buying a home, selling a home, you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you need a professional that touches the world of real estate, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com is your resource. On Facebook and YouTube, hit share and like. And always remember, you can call as well, 888-973-7828. You'll find the hotline on the upper left-hand corner of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. I think it's the upper left at least. Thank you, Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, for all your insight and your time on a Saturday. Have a great Valentine's Day.
Yeah, thank you. Happy birthday, Honey Bunny, and happy Valentine's Day to all.
You best. Happy birthday. Jimmy D, have a great weekend, and thank you for everything always.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great holiday weekend.
Jimothy, you're the man.
Thank you, Johnny. Gentlemen, have a great weekend. Take care.
It's a 3-day weekend, right? What's Monday?
President's Day.
President's Day.
Palm Beach County schools are not closed on Monday, though. They get Wednesday off because that makes perfect sense.
Oh,
Yes.
Nice.
Someday.
It's logical. A lot of the parents are off Monday. We'll get the kids off Wednesday.
Actually, might not be bad.
Idiocracy.
A little alone
Idiocracy
time
in
on
action.
Monday.
It is as it does, we've heard. Locker room is next. Greek's on the road, I believe. We'll get some details on that. I'll be in studio. Stick around. We're going to squeeze out a sports show. And, of course, Florida Talk Real Estate back at it next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday here. And remember the .com, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.